Hello everyone, I'm Marieanne, the Artsie Crafter. Welcome to my channel. I'm coming to you on a cold, miserable, drizzly, misty day. So it's a good time to be inside doing some craft work or doing some journaling, or good day to be in my craft cabin anyway. And it's nice and snug in here with the heater on, and my little puppy dog is asleep in his bed. So I thought I'd come to you. I want to share with you this month's project, and I know this month, which is June, has already started, but I had some other things to do. Well, I had some pages to make, so I wanted to show you how I was making these pages first before I started on the journal itself. And I know what I want to do for this month. It's going to be totally different this time. Instead of making a one signature monthly journal, I decided I'm going to go big. So this month I'm going to make the biggest journal I've ever made, and it will be roughly around, it'll be 8 inches wide or 20.5 centimeters, and it'll be 10.5 inches high, which is roughly 26.5 centimeters high, and it'll have 5 signatures. So that's a whopper. And I want to, it's going to be grungy. And the idea is, it's already June now, so I thought it'd be a good time to go back through all my scraps that I've made, through all the journals I've made this year, and to try and use as many up as possible. So that's what I want to do with this journal, and also, explore some ideas. So I wanted to make a journal so it would be a home to some of those ideas. So that's my plan for this month. And so I thought, it won't have a theme in particular, but I thought perhaps, maybe a nature theme would be great, because that way you wouldn't have to necessarily stick to any color scheme if you didn't want to. With nature can cover a lot of different avenues. So my dilemma now is that these are some of the pages. I've already divided up into roughly five signatures, and I've taken some different book pages and that to have as uses, or some of the artwork that I've done on some of the pages as the signature covers. And here are some of the pages that I've been playing with. I've had a lot of fun making some grungy papers out of some scraps that I had, and so those are there. They will change because I've made some more pages, so these are all changed, and I think I'm going to have about perhaps 8 double pages in each. I'm not quite sure at this stage. I'll just set that aside, and I've got this big bag here that I've had for a while, and it's nice and thick, and I thought this would be good to house the journal, because it will be another soft cover journal. I will get around to making a hardcover one of these days. Again, I used to make all my journals a hardcover, but I really love doing this, and I think it gives you a great flexibility when you are dealing with a huge journal. So that will be the base, and then I went and got some fabrics. My idea for a cover is to make something like a patchwork, and so I'm not quite sure whether I'm going to do squares or different shapes, different rectangles, squares, all that kind of thing, and put them all together. I haven't quite worked that out, but if I do, when I do create whatever patchwork pattern I end up with, I'm going to have them, I will glue them onto a background panel, and that's what this is all about. This big piece of paper, I guess it's like a craft paper, and you can get it on a roll. So what I went ahead and did was I made myself a template for the cover. So what it's going to be is, with the pages, they're going to be 8 inches wide, so I just added 1/4 inch to the back and front of the pages. And then I marked out the spine. Have I got it on the right side? Yes. Here's the spine, will be about 3 inches wide, so I marked the spine. So that's the front panel and then that's your 3-inch spine, and then the back panel is the 8-inch or 8¼ inches. And then I also wanted to add a flap, so the flap had to be 3 inches wide to allow for the if you've got a 3-inch spine, you need to make a 3-inch flap, and that doesn't look like 3 inches to me, so I'm going to have to readjust this, I think. I don't know what I've done there, I've just noticed that. But anyway, it'll be 3 inches, and then the 3-inch flap will fold over. Excuse all the noise. So if you imagine the journal be like this, if that is a 3-inch spine, then this will be a 3-inch flap to sit on the top cover. And just move those fabrics aside for now. I'll get back to them in a minute. And so if I put my journal signatures in here, and then, you know, I think I'm going to add quite a few more pages or additions to this journal, so it'll end up being something like this with the flap over the front. So that's and as you turn it up on the side, you can see it's going to be a big chunky, actually the bottom way, it's going to be a big journal. So by the time I finish, that's going to be the base of the journal, and by the time I finish working in it, I think it's going to be, I'll need that front flap. So that's my plan for that. And so anyway, I'll put these papers aside while I explain the rest. So I wanted to make myself a template, which is what this is, and I've made my marks on this side so I know where the spine is going to be and where the pages are going to be and the front flap. As I said, I'll have to remeasure that to see if it's right or not. So on this side, instead of doing my patchwork directly on my cover, in case I mess it up, I'm going to do it on this piece of paper here. So once I finish cutting out all these fabrics in their squares or rectangles or whatever it is, I can then glue them. I'll use some fabric glue and I'll glue them onto this entire panel, which looks huge at this moment, doesn't it? But that's the size. And then when I finish gluing them on, I'll let that dry, and then I'll go back and I'll use say a zigzag stitch to stitch the edges together, just so they don't come up. And if they do fray a little bit, I don't mind that, but I think the glue will stop them from fraying. But around the edges, I would like them to fray, and I haven't really decided. So once I've done this onto this panel, I haven't decided what I want on the inside of the cover, but I know I want this on the outside of the cover, so I will be cutting this to size, and then I will glue this directly onto there. And I might, I'm not sure at this stage whether I'll sew the signatures in before I actually glue this on, so that the stitches, my binding stitches, will be hidden, because one of these days I'll feel that I will, I don't really want to fuss with the binding particularly. I know some people love doing the decorative binding and whatnot, but at this stage I just want to get the cover on. So I might do that, sew the signatures in, and then glue this onto the cover. But having just said that, I think I would like to have this stitched around the edges, so maybe I won't be able to put the signatures in first, and I'll just have to put something on the outside to cover those binding stitches. That's down the track anyways. I'll think about that later. And I do want to put some fabric on the inside, so I can sew the fabric on the inside, and this will mesh up together on the edges, so it'll make it fairly neat, but a little bit grungy looking. So that's my plan for this month's journal. And I've already gone and if you haven't seen, I'll leave a link to the first 2 videos, I think. This is the 3rd one for this month. The first 2 is how to create background pages for your journals. And I've done it in some grungy background pages without using any stencils or a jelly plate to create designs on my pages. And so I'll leave a link to those 2 videos below. And but I will go ahead and work on this cover and cut out all this panel for the cover out of this paper bag. And I'll, when I come back, I'll get on with it, and then I'll come back and I'll give you a brief viewing of my progress. And then at the end, you will see the completed cover and the journal signatures sewn into the cover. And I hope you're as excited as I am to see how this is all going to turn out. So I will see you soon. So it's all ready to be glued onto the front cover, and which is here. So this one, I had it all marked out. So this is the front panel, and this is the back. So I can turn this over and then place this on top like that, and then I can I'll glue this onto here. This way all my stitching will be hidden. It won't be on here. Not that you would see this anyway, but it just saves having to weaken the structure of this background of the base cover, and this gives it a little bit more thickness, sturdiness. So that will go on there. And then on the inside, I've already gone ahead and decided what I'm going to do for the fabric. I did want this panel, but because it wasn't big enough to cover the entire inside of the journal cover, I decided to put those panels on, and I decided to keep them neutral so they don't compete with the pattern on here. So now I can glue this one on the inside, and then when I've done that, I can sew around. I'll take it to my machine and sew around the perimeter, and with the glue and the stitching, it should keep it all together. And so this front flap comes over here, and this is like so, and you can just imagine all the signatures in there. Oops. So that will give you an idea of what it looks like when it's together. And also I decided, I haven't decided, I'm thinking about, this is the front flap, and just to give it a neater edge along here, I have some fabric, something like this. I can sew on both sides here like a selvage or a band along here and give it a neat edge. So for now, I'll go and attach these 2 panels to the cover, and it'll be pretty much finished. And I'll come back and show you what it looks like. Okay, here's my journal cover. I had to stand up for this one, it's such a big cover. I had to get a bit further away than usual, so here goes. So it's nice and finished, and I said I was going to have the journal, the signatures sewn in, but I haven't as yet because I just made some more papers, and I want to use some of them in the journal, so I held off sewing the signatures in until I sort through the pages a bit more, but they're pretty much as they're going to be. Some need to be cut down a little bit, I think. No, I think they're all the right size, almost anyway. So, oops, and they're all slipping out. And I made this, I didn't put an eyelet in here like I was going to, because I had a flap on there, and I thought, oh, I was going to attach one here, and I couldn't work out how I really wanted to do it because I ended up wanting to do these leaves, and it's funny how one thing leads to another, and then you've got to keep changing your plans. But you can see these leaves. I wanted to do something a little bit extra on here because I thought it looked a little bit plain. I did think about putting some sort of botanical image on here, but I don't want to do that now. I think these leaves will do, and I might add some little embellishments to these leaves later on when I find some, maybe some some metal dangles or beads or something like that, but that will be later on when I can think of what to do. So to make these leaves, I just don't know what that was. I just cut myself out a little leaf template here, and I drew around the leaves, and I folded the fabric over, and you can see it's on both sides, and I glued it together, and then I cut the leaf out, and then I went to my sewing machine and just sewed around them, and they're fairly stiff and sturdy, so that's what I did here. And this is just something I had in my stash. It's a piece of hessian with a bit of lace on the front that I bought from a discount store that I've got. I had to cut it down because it was far too big. I didn't want to cut it down any further. But this, I had this in the center of here, so I know this is where my spine is. I put that on my spine, and I know I'm in the right place when I put this on. So it took me a little while to work out how to do this, how I wanted to do this, or how to do this that it will work and I could have that band of leaves. So it meant that I couldn't put an eyelet in, and anyway, I don't mind. I like this very much. It ties in with my theme, a bit grungy and a bit botanical, and the tie here is only a bit of cotton, you can see that. And all I did was I got my ink pad and rubbed the inks, different color inks on there. I wet the cloth, of course, it was all wet, and I rubbed the inks in, and then I scrunched it all up to blend all the colors together. And I absolutely love, I had about 3 greens, a black and a brown, and also some coffee dye. Can't do without the coffee dye. And I absolutely love the way it turned out, that variegated look. You can see on the back there. I had to sew 2 panels together because they weren't long enough. But that's another good reason to put the leaves over the top, because it covers up the connection. So that's the journal cover, all finished and all ready to use. So I definitely will have to go and sew in those signatures now. And I'll turn this around. So that's the cover finished, and it didn't take me half as long as I thought it was going to. It was quite an easy process. Once I cut these panels out, the gluing on before you sew was easy. Gluing them onto a panel before you sew them onto the journal cover helped to make this process a lot faster than I did imagine it would be. So that was good because I had it all to size and ready to go. And I did put that band on. I don't know whether I showed you that before. It was just straightforward, and I absolutely loved doing it. And I'm going to stop talking now, and so I can end this video. And thank you very much for coming along. I hope everyone has a happy crafty day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye everyone.